And now, a special edition of the Toddcast podcast.
Powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Well, here we go. The first step towards another 100 episodes, he says with a question mark. Honestly, I'm not sure if we'll get there, but maybe we will. We're on episode 301. It's a best of this week, looking at the podcast, some highlights of the last few months. My name is Todd Hancock. Happy to have you along for the ride, and thank you so much for being there. I love it, of course, if you'd follow along on social media, on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We're also on the usual suspects like iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud. So let's get to it. This week's Stop Me If You've Heard This Before. Former Bellator MMA fighter Ricky Bandejas shares a motorcycle near-death story, and it's a scary one, driving the New Jersey Parkway. That is powered by our friends at FKP MMA. Nothing but great things to say about these guys, not only because they're a sponsor, but they also teach my youngest, Levi, he's 10 now. He's all about the self-defense, self-esteem, competition, and perseverance. Believe me, if you go check them out, it's easy to see why they are Vancouver's #1 training destination. Find out more through fkpmma.com. So Stop Me, coming up shortly after this week's musical guests and one song from now. Speaking of, musical guests are brought to you by Vibe Cave Studios in East Vancouver. Braden runs the place, doing a killer job, pushing out some quality stuff, and it's all genres as well. So bands or artists that follow me, that know me, there's a reason why we're working with Braden and the Vibe Cave Studios. If you have a good song, you just need to, week, shine it up a little bit, get huge mixes, killer sounds, great vibes through vibecavestudios.com. So if you're a fan of the band Plush, you'll likely remember when drummer Brooke Colucci left the band. That was back in August of last year. The band posted something online saying, it was an honor that they shared the stage with her for the past couple of years in front of thousands of fans, and they wished her all the best in her future projects. And a future project is happening. She talks about that in the full conversation, which was in mid-February of this year, just a couple of months back now. And like always, we got into it with Brooke talking about aliens visiting Earth, which shows she's been ripping through, which she's binge watching. She shared a near-death story about riding her motorbike as a kid. She got run over, and you'll love her career highlight.
Career highlight.
Well, you just got signed to, was it Pearl? I think you said you posted, right?
Yes. It's funny because this is something that had been in the works for like almost a year now. But because of like COVID, they were like so backed up with like orders and stuff. So it took me a while to get my kit. And especially since the finish that I wanted, they had to send it back to the factory to do it. But that is for sure like a career highlight. Definitely, seeing the hard work pay off, essentially, getting like the endorsements.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like I was kind of just creeping on your Facebook page, and Ray Luzier is like, "Hey, nice one, Brooke. Congrats, welcome to the family." Like fucking Korn's drummer was like, "What's up?" Like, it's pretty crazy.
I think that's like definitely a highlight, as well as seeing people from bands that I love reach out to me and be like, "Hey, like sick videos." That's definitely a career highlight.
Yeah.
Playing shows and all that sort of stuff. I love playing out live. It's one of my absolute favorite things.
Sure.
What'd you say?
I said, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Lives where it's at, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely just like feeling the energy from the crowd and like getting into the music, and yeah.
Yeah, great to hear people talking about their career highlights. I personally love it anyway. So we got Brooke talking about comic books, Rolling Stones and Zeppelin, concerts, not just, her playing them, but Godsmack and Seven Dust, monster drummers, her Instagram account, which she's, continually pumping out great cover videos. As a drummer, that shit truly gets me. We talked about rock autobiographies as well. I suggested Life by Keith Richards, Red by Sammy Hagar, and Brooke shared a few recommendations as well.
Oh, okay. I recommend Debbie Harry's biography. I actually have it right underneath my computer. I have like stacked up books, so it's the same right height.
Yeah.
But I have it right here. That's really good.
Rad.
I enjoyed reading that. Um, I read Liberty DeVito's autobiography or biography, which one
Yeah.
it is. That was good. Um, John Bonham's is also really good too.
I haven't
you can
read that.
tell-
Like, I don't know how I haven't read that, but
Yeah, it's titled Beast, I think. So,
aptly named.
oh yeah,
Like
for sure.
the best.
Yeah.
I want to recommend for you, because I knew that you'd be into this. If you haven't read Sammy Hagar's, it's called Red, R-E-D, Red. That's awesome. And then Life by Keith Richards is like, speaking of the Stones, way back there, insane. Those guys live an insane life.
Yeah, it's super interesting hearing about like how, because I read about some of this in like the Liberty DeVito book and stuff, like back then in like the 70s, 80s, like their touring and stuff is like so different than any touring that I've experienced.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? It's like, holy man, the stories are just insane in these books. It's awesome.
And then like when I went on tour, it like wasn't insane. Like everybody, like in the books, it's depicted that like everybody's doing drugs and like girls are everywhere and that sort of thing. And like it wasn't like that when I was on tour.
From an amazing rock drummer, one of the best Instagram accounts, to a music producer and music director of Grammy award-winning bands. So back in early March of this year, we were introduced to DJ D-Wiz through Amanda Sellers, who you hear on this podcast. She's the girl that you hear banging off the sponsor tags for FKP and Milano Coffee, and what a beauty too. Like she just... she offers to help out the podcast. Then a few months later, she's like, hey, by the way, I've got a good guest for your show. And like, doing some, research after Amanda introduces us. And DJ D has been in the game forever. Salt and Peppa, Arrested Development, Freedom Williams of CNC Music Factory, Doug E. Fresh. I think we talked for damn near an hour, maybe a little bit more. And then he had to go take his dog for a walk, had to take him for a little pee. And he told some stories like this one, the music that was in his life as he's a little kid growing up in New York City.
So now here we go. So it goes from being introduced to heavy metal, hard rock, and big band jazz, not bebop, not Max Roach and Art Blakey and, and John Coltrane, those guys, big band jazz. It went from there, and still having that in my repertoire, to now hip hop is being introduced to the world. In
New York, you're living in New York too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
like
now
I've had on Run DMC, and his stories of back in the day in New York City, man, like it's pretty incredible. It was like the melting pot. It was where everything was happening. Is the
Studio 54 is New York.
Yeah, dude.
So now hip hop is being introduced and being actually like experimented with. Not just introduced, experimented with, and being figured out during this time. So of course, as you said, I'm there for it and I'm watching it. I'm younger than those guys, so I'm not participating. I'm literally watching it. This is interesting. Okay, so put that on the same table. On that same table, now my dad puts me in Juilliard School of Music.
Okay.
Now I'm studying Dvorak, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, Brahma. I'm studying all these guys, Brahms, everyone, Chopin. And all of that together was happening at the same time. All my teenage years, all of that was going on at the same time. Not as, like, well, then I did this and then I did that, then I did this. No, that was happening all together.
Don't you think it's cool to hear about that time in someone's life and how it directly affected what they'd end up doing for the rest of their life? I do. I think it's great. So Dee's DJ'd private parties for big personalities like Prince, Bill Clinton, Tom Cruise. He helped write Vegas's first hip-hop residency show back in 18. Salt and Peppa's I Love the 90s Las Vegas. That had Salt and Peppa and Vogue, Naughty by Nature, Mark McGrath, Rob Bass. The full conversation is a must-hear or a must-watch, whichever you prefer. It comes in all flavors. Listen to how D came to work with all of those talented bands and musicians.
Yeah. Wow, it sounds so like arrogant and pompous, but I'm trying to tell you, Todd, like it happened.
Yeah. Tell it like it is.
Right. So, me and some buddies from around my way, like I said, I grew up in hip hop, so I had a crew, myself and some MCs and another buddy of mine. His name is Ozzy. God rest the dead Ozzy, who kind of is very instrumental in a lot of people in the music business lives. So he was connected to Dr. Dre, who was, like I said, on Hot 97 with Ed Lover. They had the morning show spot, which is as you know, that's the most important spot on the radio.
Sure. If you don't have a good morning show, you don't have a good radio station in general, because people aren't sticking around.
It's the anchor.
Yeah, it's the anchor for sure.
He brought me in, and I eventually started working with the crew. And that was my introduction in general to radio, just in general. So that's my also introduction to being in the music business, because that just led to other things. I was already a DJ, so being on a radio station, you kind of have the ends to promoters and people that are doing parties, concerts, other artists that are coming in, that you guys are interviewing. So that's my introduction to the music business, Hot 97. And of course, if you're on a #1 radio show at that time, everything else is going to only follow and go uphill from there. Yeah. So that's my introduction to the music business. And that's when I decided, hey, well, this is going to be it. I was already a dad, and somebody's coming in right now.
What's your dog's name? That's awesome.
Kobe.
That's
right, as in Kobe Bryant. And
that's great. I've got a golden retriever named Sergeant.
Really? Nice.
Sergeant Puppers. The Beatles. Sergeant Puppers.
Sergeant Puppers. It's like Sergeant Peppers.
Yes.
Wow. How old is Sergeant?
2.5.
Okay. This guy is 7 months now.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 months. So that's my introduction, pretty much to the music business, and decided, well, this is it. This is what I'm going to be, and this is what I'm going to do. I was actually already a father. I was a father at, I was a teenage dad at the age of 19. Oh, so it was at a perfect time for something like that to come, for me to do music full time.
And from a world-renowned DJ to the singer of a Montreal rock band who recently got back together, released a new album, and hopefully that means they're touring across Canada pretty quick in the near future. Mobile formed in 2006. Their debut was fire. Radio stations across the country supported them from the get-go. 4 singles off that album. It went on to win them a Juno for the New Group of the Year in 2007. Cue the rock star life, playing huge festivals, touring with Chris Cornell. But then in 2011, they shut her down. But now they're back.
That's cool, man. Seriously, I never thought we would make another record, to be honest with you, and it's good. I mean, we took a few years off. As you know, we were friends for the longest time, so it was it's just the business got the best of us at some point. To be honest, it's just shit, man. When we had that first record that did really well, then it was great. Then we toured, we did the Cornell thing, we did everything, the Juno, this and that. But the thing is, you know how it is, the industry. It's so nerve-wracking, and also it's soul destroying in a way, because no matter how much success you got, whatever, it's just you have no control over anything. And it came to a point where, man, I got older, and the kids and this, and I was really unhappy with everything. It's like, fuck this, man. It didn't make me happy at all. I just realized that music all my life I thought was a lifesaver, right? When I was growing up, I was like, I want to, be a rock and roll star or whatever, do that music for a living and this and that. But in the end, I was like, man, this is destroying me. I was so unhappy. I didn't like it. So took a break. I went back to school, and, I work for a fire department now. I work for fire. Yeah. So I turned my life around in a way. And then I quit music for a little bit. You know, it was good actually. You know, I kind of stopped for a while.
That's Mobile singer Matt Jolie. Quite honestly, it's great to have Mobile back. I do remember them fondly from their visits through the studio. And I was, doing the afternoon show at CFox back in the day, about 11, 12 years or whatever it was. Probably saw the guys like 6 or 7 times anyway. Good dudes, always down to party and laugh and, have a good time. And the new album is definitely worth the listen. It's called Roadmap to Redemption. Same thing here with Matt. I think we talked for close to an hour, so you can really cover some serious kind of ground when you got that kind of time, right? Video games, binge watching, autobiographies, Duran Duran, The Police, the Cure, Star Wars. Just looking down the list here. The Oilers and Connor Bedard. He shared a near-death drowning story, fire prevention, generational differences, how times have changed for musicians.
Obviously, things have changed so much for the musicians, but for radio stations too. It's sad because you guys used to have that cool thing going on, and it was great to come and see you. And now I don't know what it's like now because I haven't been to a radio station in a long time. But I feel it's so sad now that different. You don't have that thing anymore.
Going to radio stations now it's gonna be a little bit different.
It's so sad. It used to be such a cool hangout. You go do the interview and we talk about music and shit. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's just I cherish those times. It was great, man.
I think that Danger and I may be like one of the last pioneers in that regard.
Oh, you guys were
I don't know that you're going and fucking cranking back a case of beer at a radio station.
Oh, man. You guys were the best. You talked to him too? Danger?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Cool dude too. I mean, you guys were literally like we always loved going to see you guys. It was, I told you, but I mean to say it again, it was great, man. You guys are the best, man.
Yeah, like when I got let go, I got offered a few jobs in radio, but
you didn't go for it.
I was offered a job in Kamloops. I offered a job in Lethbridge, but I had all this time off and all this severance that I was like, well, I don't really need to take a job right now.
Okay.
So and then eventually, like, to fall into the podcast, it was just buddies who were like, dude, like, fucking start a podcast, man. Make some money that way.
Yeah. Because the thing is, you can't let that go. You've been doing this for so long. You're good at it. I mean, it's like me too. Like when people, they were like, you can't stop. I'm like, yes, I can. I'm fed up. I hate music in a way anymore. I just don't hate music. I just hate the music industry. It makes me feel sad.
Toddcast Podcast musical guest visits are powered by Vibe Cave Studios in East Vancouver. Huge mixes, killer sounds, great vibes. Visit them at vibecavestudios.com.
What do you miss? What do you miss from me? I tried to lift my feet and climb, but I couldn't see. I got a history of keeping things I feel inside, but I can't breathe. Oh my eye. All my life has been a maze. Tried to turn another page, but I can't understand. It's such a it's such a mystery. Yes, I'm just reaching in the dark, but I can't see. And it's a bitch. This life's a bitch to me, and they say every life is hard. Maybe I did. Yes, I did all I could do. Cast aside all that I knew. I still can't understand. Maybe I missed it. What did I miss from this? I try to reminisce, but
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
If you're an MMA fan, the name Ricky Banderas is likely ringing a bell. When he was a guest, he fought out of Bellator MMA, bantamweight. His current record is 15-7. Since leaving Bellator, he's fought for Global Combat, Global Copa Combat, and most recently, back in March 22, for Eagle FC 46, where he lost a split decision to Ray Borg. You never let it come down to the judges. And when Ricky was a guest, he talked about the best MMA fighters on the planet, pound for pound. He shared the shows that he was binge watching at the time. We talked about aliens visiting Earth, seeing Lil Wayne in concert. Natural ability came up, so did the importance of family. And stop me if you've heard this before. Here's Ricky telling a near-death story from when he was a teenager.
Well, when I was 18, I was on the Parkway, New Jersey Parkway, and I got in a motorcycle accident.
Oh.
This lady was like 90, was merging on at the Belmar exit. She hit me. So then I was all, rattled up. I had a bunch of scars and road rash. I had to get a skin graft on my hand. That's why my whole back was tattooed on the one side because it was all road rash. I didn't like the way it looked, so tattooed it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right?
So how long were you in the hospital for that for?
I was an amateur and I was fighting, so I was out. I don't think I fought for a whole year.
Wow.
My kneecap, my kneecap was hanging out, so I had a long road to recovery.
Oh. Start to finish, how long did it take for your body to get back to where you're like, all right, I'm normal again?
I think almost 2 years.
2 years? Holy
year
shit.
and a half. They said, the doctor said I didn't break any bones because he said my body was able to relax. Like you break bones when your muscle tenses up.
Sure. That's why they say if you get in an accident or whatever and you're sleeping in the car, chances are you'll be better than the driver.
Absolutely, because you don't see it coming.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
to bet big money, not my house or my kids' big money, but big money that you'll probably see that one at the end of the month. So that's Jennifer Hirschman, Love Authentication. We're 10 days away now from her show with the podcast. Hope you can make it out. These are fun nights. So it's on Friday, April 28th at Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. The Toddcast podcast with Joan Bessie, Jennifer Hirschman. Both are doing an acoustic set. Both have the Q&A. You get to ask questions as well. And by the way, these nights are filmed, so just keep that in mind if you're thinking of going to a show and you don't want to be in a promo video or what have you, because we do make, of course, all those things up. It's $20 in advance, $25 if you want to snooze and wait for the door, and hopefully there's tickets left because we only sell 60 for each of these shows. The doors are at 7, show starts at 8. Get a ticket right now through eventbrite.ca, eventbrite.ca. Search out Toddcast Podcast. You can't miss it. Played you a new song for Matt Storm called What Do You Miss? If you were at last month's Blue Light Sessions with Ivan Hartle, just a few weeks back now, you know that Matt played along with Ivan for the entire night as well. A fantastic singer in his own right. He plays locally from time to time as well. So if you hear of him playing anywhere near you, make the effort to be there. It was a great night. So coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, Refused singer Dennis Lixon talking about the early influences in his life musically, like the Beatles and Bowie and Ozzy Osbourne. That is powered by our good friends, 6-year sponsors, Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service and repairs, ICBC accredited. You can find them on Facebook and on Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, let's get back to more guest highlights in this best of podcast and some of our sporting guests, all of whom are powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver. Naturally dyed goods for your home, for your body, some amazing stuff on that website. We're talking everything from pillowcases to socks and underwear and t-shirts and towels, and I saw a chef's apron on there as well. Pretty cool. So check it out through handoverhandtextiles.com. They only use pure plant extracts, natural fibers, good for Mother Earth. They make great presents as well. Locally owned? Yes. Locally operated? Yes. Again, that website, handoverhandtextiles.com. So if you've been following my career, going back to my radio days at CFOX, 99.3 The Fox here in Vancouver, you've heard our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila, chirping off since probably around 2007, 2008-ish, something like that, roughly 15 years. He was a guest back in mid-February. You'll normally hear him on the podcast but once a year kind of thing, although it had been a couple years since his last visit. Love that he's just, well, first off, he's a really good buddy of mine, but he's just a really, he's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is with sports and pretty much anything under the sun that you want to talk to him about. Listen to Tequila talking about the Canucks and the way that they handled Coach Boudreau's firing this year.
Well, Boudreau thing, that was terrible, man. I didn't like that at all. That was a good coach, a good guy. We just had some really shitty defense, some shitty goaltending, and just some average players that we've got on this roster. But the thing I don't get with Boudreau, last year we were the second half of the season, we were one of the best teams in the NHL second half. So we almost made the playoffs. Yeah, just like Green put us in such a fucking wall.
Sure.
So how did we go from that to this? Like
5 points or whatever the fuck it was, and like
totally.
Yeah. And not only that, but if you look at the overall record for Boudreau, it was 20, it was 30, 20, and 7 or some shit like that. So it was still a winning record. And we're just chasing this guy out of town. Pitchforks are fucking everywhere. It was embarrassing the way that it all shook out. It was just terrible to see how they handled Boudreau, handing it over to Tocchet.
Totally. And like leaking it to the media that we are getting Rick Tocchet while Boudreau's still employed by us. Like, that's brutal. You know what I mean? What a terrible move. Like,
yeah, Rutherford's like, yeah, we are looking. We have looked. Like, what, dude? Yeah, what are you talking? Like, there's the guy's still coaching for you right now.
Yeah, and then, but in all fairness to those guys, this was another dumb move. Aquilini, too much involvement. Aquilini hired Boudreau. Boudreau, I got no problem with that. But if you hire a coach before a GM, that's just stupid because the GM's always going to want his guy. And he didn't like Boudreau from the start. So I don't know what I mean? So that didn't help. But the way he was treated, like that guy's a pretty good coach. And it was nice to see the fans chant his name and see him get a little bit emotional, that he knows that, hey, this isn't, the fans are with you, buddy, for sure. Like, you got the raw deal here.
I mean, he really hits the nail on the head, right? Tequila has been a close buddy of mine since the early 2000s. It's kind of trippy when you interview your friends for a podcast, talking to them about everything from Bo Horvat becoming a New York Islander and quickly touching on the BC Lions and the Super Bowl and the halftime show. His thoughts on Bedard. Talked a lot about family and crazy concert prices that we're all faced with post-COVID, like $300-400 a ticket. Like, really? He talked about his family's Bulgarian summer vacation almost being robbed by gypsies. And Tequila is one of the biggest Pantera fans that I know, hands down. So got his thoughts on the current tour and lineup with no Abbott brothers in sight.
I see both ends of it, I guess. Like, as being the diehard fan and seeing them so many times and hanging with them and seeing how it ended so just terribly, like the Phil doing all his antics and just stringing along the Abbott brothers like he did. And just, he thought the band was all about him. He had the singer head case fucking mentality going there. And they were on top of the world at that time, right? So he could think like that. But again, Pantera was your bread and butter. You know what I mean? You guys they were a machine together. And then when fucking there's that much bad blood and then a guy gets killed, there's no fixing that, right? So I take what Vinnie Paul had to say too. Vinnie Paul still never talked to Phil Anselmo about what was said and what he did, right? He knows what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The guy wasn't even allowed at Dimebag's funeral, so that tells you fucking everything you need to know.
Right.
Again, so all that happens. Vinnie adamantly said multiple times she would never do a reunion.
Right. He was vocal about it. Like, no chances it happening.
It's him on the fucking YouTube. That's him talking. That's not edited it. He fucking said no way. So of course he dies. So his estate really generates a lot of money when you get a fucking tour going and seeing how they're selling. They're saying for the brothers, come on, you got to put for the brothers and for the money. Come on, there's some money being thrown around here too, and that kind of makes me a little upset. I wish they, you know what I mean? They're definitely cashing in on the legacy. That was the brothers' legacy, not theirs. That was the Abbott's brothers band. That was their band, right? And not being exploited by the estates because they sell the merch. They got all the cuts. They're still going to make a pile of money. So,
sure. Oh yeah.
So that aspect is going along too. So, but again, people that haven't seen it, I see the other side, that younger people never saw Pantera. They're just such an influential band, and the first time you hear it, you're hooked on them. They got that kind of mind control, that their riffs and just the way that they come together, explosive. You're hooked right away as soon as you hear it.
Yeah.
So then you would want to see that, right? You want to see those songs played again.
From our resident sports loudmouth to a Canadian curling Olympian. You heard Emma Miskew on the podcast last month. She's second on Team Holman, one of Canada's best curling teams ever. They represented Canada in the 2018 Winter Olympics. Emma's been on that team for well over a decade. Listen to her talk about her favorite moments of being on Team Holman.
Well, we've had some hard losses, but we've always been able to bounce back and be better from all those hard losses. And I think those are the ones that stand out the most, is going through those hard times and on the ice where we lose a game we shouldn't lose, or we don't perform at the level we want to perform at, and then being able to bounce back and then actually win that event that we failed at the first time. And I think that's just sport in general, is you're going to fail and you're going to succeed. No one succeeds all the time continuously, or there wouldn't be a sport. So it's just a matter of how we learn from those losses, those hard losses. And we always chose to learn from them and battle through them together, instead of deciding that the other person was the problem and moving on in a different direction. I think that's what makes us so unique.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was watching the videos, and I don't know if you're just saying it to say it, but you guys actually hang out. Like, it's not just you go to the rink and you do your thing, but you're actual friends outside of the sport.
Oh yeah. And curling is such a small team sport too. So most teams, there's only 4 people. You spend a lot of time together. So if you don't like the people you're playing with, it's a long season. We're playing from mid-August until May. So that's, I think, why there's a lot of movement on teams, because it's a lot of time that you spend with your teammates. And if you're not enjoying that time, it's hard to feel like it's worth it to be away that much, and not being enjoying that time. Whereas I haven't really had that experience, and like we've really enjoyed all that time, and I like being on the road with my team, and we have so much fun. So it's I'm very lucky.
And it really shouldn't shock you to learn that Emma has decimated the curling competition since she was a little kid. She won 4 straight provincial bantam championships from 2003 through 2006. We talked a lot about the sport, the hardship and the accomplishments and the training, the camaraderie, the adversity, the ups, the downs. We talked about seeing NSYNC in concert. Gambling came up. The Beatles, the shows that she's been binge watching. She shared a near-death story and her first curling memory.
Like my first curling memory from that age, I was playing in events with my brother, but and a couple other young players there, was that we actually won a Little Rock event. And I was like, oh, wow. I didn't know how we would compare to other players in the city. We had just been playing at the local club level. So I realized like, oh, maybe I'm like kind of good at this. And then it was in that same time frame where we started to play. There were higher caliber events, and then there were play downs that would go to like the Ottawa region competition. And that's when I met up we were playing against Allison Krevizak, who ended up being my longtime teammate, and Rachel Homan, who obviously is my longtime teammate.
Right.
So we were playing against each other at these Little Rock events. And that's ended up, I remember seeing them being like, wow, they're really good. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up teaming up and becoming a team after that. So that's kind of my first real memory is seeing them and then teaming up with them and all my years with them, working hard at a young age.
And from a Canadian curling Olympian to an NPC bikini champion, Nicole Serini was a guest last month. We follow each other on Instagram, and she's constantly posting inspiring and uplifting content. Check out her website, NicoleSerini.com. She creates personal health and wellness programs. And if you're like me and your metabolism, well, it ain't like what it used to be, struggling to not eat everything in the house after, 11 o'clock at night kind of thing, every food to me feels like a cheat food. You'll definitely want to watch or listen to the full interview at our YouTube or SoundCloud page.
Right now I'm in a building phase, so I definitely have to hit my macros every day. But I have a very high metabolism, so I don't let myself stick to like a very specific meal plan daily. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat more, but I do stick to certain foods. The classic chicken and rice every day is basically my go-to. Ground turkey, rice cakes, peanut butter, protein shakes, things like that. But I definitely do let myself have those cheat meals once a week, sometimes more, it depends. But yeah, I'm not crazy strict right now. Obviously in prep, it's a different story, but
yeah, and a few questions down, I was going to ask you about what are your cheat foods when you're like, screw it, I'm eating whatever I want.
So honestly, my go-to probably would be pizza. I would say that's my number one. Love it. My number two would be a really good homemade mac and cheese. I'm a big pasta fan, so love that too. And
are you worried about losing the metabolism? Because, I'm almost 50. And when I turned 40, suddenly my metabolism just fucking went out the door. Like,
that's what I keep hearing. But honestly, no, I'm not worried. I have never had a problem. And my mom has also never had a problem. And that's kind of what I look to too, Sure. So I'm hoping I will keep the luck going throughout my life.
Yeah. It is incredible, right? The self-discipline that you need to treat your body right, to not overeat, eating the wrong foods and not getting enough movement, not getting enough exercise. The conversation was focused on that stuff, but we talked about a bunch of other things with Nicole. Channing Tatum and Ryan Reynolds both came up. So did the Chronicles of Narnia, seeing John Mayer in concert, the Beatles and country music, dreams, superpowers, her favorite iPhone apps, and how COVID actually allowed her the chance to start fitness training.
Yes, COVID was the time frame where I was kind of like, you know what, like, this is ridiculous. I need a new path in life. But it wasn't because of COVID. I had been feeling for a really long time that I was meant for more. And I couldn't explain it. I still really can't explain it. But I just felt like, I was working in the hospital as a nurse. I'm like, I'm not meant to be doing this. It just isn't fulfilling to me. So I just bit the bullet, told my husband, I'm going to do this, started doing it, and I love it. And it's kind of just escalated from there.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what's the business? If you want to plug the business, how can people get a hold of it online?
Yeah, so it's Nicole Serini Health and Wellness. My website is just NicoleSerini.com. It's a nutrition-based platform for my clients. So I help with weight loss, but I also help with a whole lot of other health issues. And it's all rooted through nutrition. It's more of a holistic type care plan. I dive into your lifestyle, your stress levels, your sleep. So it's very all-encompassing. I've had great success with it, so it's going well.
Red Truck Beer, delivered fresh, the official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
In a place of business and heroes, measured down in sets of 3 zeros. I ask you, what does this really mean? That we can meet somewhere in between. No, in the middle where everything's great, and it's crazy and strange as I ask, so how was your day? Just to get some extra pay. We could just wander around, listen to all the sound of the people nearby, spark a joint and get high. But it doesn't really matter what we do, as long as it's just gonna be me and you. If you wanted anything on me, you gotta do it. Say if you wanted anything on me, you gotta do it. Say just say yeah, say a picture postcard, background, follow me around. You can hear the sound of the city, the buzzing light all along the avenue. It's giving out an orange hue that quickly surrounds you. And all the restaurants in 250 lager hearts, they can't be hid, much to my chagrin. At the web cafe, they sip on decaf soil and tea, sending love on the net. Well, I think I'd probably forget if you wanted anything on me. Oh, you gotta do is say if you wanted anything on me. Oh, you gotta do is just say, just say. Say
You're listening to a best of episode of the Toddcast podcast. And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
Refused could be one of the most underrated bands on the planet. Now, hear me out. Even though their album, The Shape of Punk to Come, is widely recognized as one of the best punk hardcore albums all time, they've influenced countless bands over the years. So just listen to Alexis on Fire, Death from Above, 1979. You'll hear what I mean. Refused is powerful. They're punk. They're punishing. They're from Sweden. They've been around since 91. Uber political, far left leaning. There was a time, in fact, when they were associated with the straight edge subculture, no booze, no drugs. And when you heard their singer Dennis Lixon on the podcast, it was right around the time that Refused released their album War Music. They've released an EP since then called The Malignant Fire. He talked about everything from aliens visiting Earth to binge-watching Succession. We talked about superhero movies like The Watchmen. He talked about seeing Europe as his first concert, pretty good one. He shared his thoughts on legalized marijuana, how Star Wars took over his life as a kid, sounds familiar, the superpower that he'd want to have, and Dennis talked about how the Beatles got everything going for him. Then it was Bowie and then Ozzy, and listen to this.
Oh, interesting. My dad, for a short period of time, he worked for like a record distribution sort of company. He had a lot of records.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so he played a lot of music at home. When I was young, I don't really know what he was into. I mean, I know kind of what he was into, but the first thing that really hit me was the Beatles. I was 8 years old when John Lennon got shot, and his picture and the Beatles picture were all over the newspapers the next day, and that made me super curious. I thought they looked really cool. My dad had all the Beatles records, so that was like my first journey into music, basically.
And what do you think it was about the Beatles?
Well, I mean, first of all, I thought they looked cool, which is, when you're a young person, that's a plus.
Of course.
I mean, also, and I think also a lot of their songs, especially the early stuff, because I liked when you're a young person, when you were 8 years old, Sgt. Pepper's, and that might be a bit too much for you, but I like the early stuff, like I Want to Hold Your Hand, and all that, like the simple Beatles songs.
She Loves You.
She Loves You, of course. So there was a catchiness to that really blew my mind, and I was like building Lego guitars and like miming in my living room to Beatles records when I was like 8 and 9 years old. Yeah.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
Say the
I cannot wait to see that one live. Her name is Joan Bessie, and a great song for her called Devil in the Back. And on Friday, April 28th, the Blue Light Studio, Toddcast Podcast, Blue Light Sessions. So it's Joan Bessie and Jennifer Hirschman, who you heard off the top of this podcast. Both sets are acoustic, I believe. They're not always acoustic. Sometimes bands have plugged in, but I believe these ones are acoustic. There's a Q&A. You get to ask questions as well, of course, as always. These nights are filmed. A little ding, ding, ding. Heads up, heads up. These nights are filmed. We chuck out video on social media, so your pretty little mug just might make it into a promo video. It's $20 in advance right now through eventbrite.ca. $20, eventbrite.ca, BRITE. All right, bright.ca. $25 if you want to wait. Gamble at the door. I say gamble because 60 tickets are being sold. And at last, I know we're past halfway. All right, so heads up. Doors are at 7 o'clock. Show will start at 8. We'll probably go till about 10:30-ish, I think, something like that. Now, you heard Alex Marr as well. His song was called Say 2.0, and Alex has played shows for the podcast in the past and will be banging something off for us again this summer. The full details have not been announced yet, but in the next couple of months, you'll hear about that. He lives in Winnipeg now, so this is one of those, like, you know, we back and forth on texting and, hey, make it out. And he's like, oh, as soon as I get the tour made and blah, blah. So he'll be making his trek out this way to play west and play a few shows. And man, can this kid play it. Cannot wait for another show with Alex Marr. Speaking of live music, you can find a small list of shows that are happening locally with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. Shoot us the details to your show, or maybe you're checking one out. If it's indie, we'll post it up at the website. Again, toddhancock.ca. Okay, our final guests of episode 301, this week's entertainment and lifestyle guests, powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. You can also get oils and hash and all kinds of edibles and peyote and CBD and bath bombs, and it's crazy. The website is awesome. At registry, by the way, mention you heard about them through this podcast. That will instantly upgrade your profile on their website. All right, sacredmeds.com. So back in mid-February, you heard It's Not Therapy show host, writer, producer, actor Leanna Kersner was on this podcast with a slight focus on the not therapy side of things. And how does she not get dragged down with people's problems when she's helping them through things?
It's a learned skill, right? To sort of put it away. It's like the Samwise Gamgee thing. I can't carry it for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you.
Right.
And there's a principle, I can talk about this on the show if you want. There's a principle called the dignity of risk.
Oh, we're already doing the show.
Oh, hello. Okay. So, principle called dignity of risk that it's ultimately up to the client to decide what they want to do, what direction they want to go. And because it's ultimately their choice, you know, you go over it with them, but these are adults. I don't work with youth. I don't work with kids. So these are adults. They make their own choices, and, you know, stuff can get tough, but like anything, resilience is a skill. And if I didn't have it, I'd be a really lousy example for other people. Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of, you know, if you don't want it, you're not going to get it, even if somebody throws it in your face, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, every so often, obviously something hits you. You're human, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really, really big on boundaries. I went through my own experiences with trauma therapy back in 2012, 2013. And that's one of the things I set, like boundaries, right? And that's a big one. You don't let someone push you off your equilibrium. Mm-hmm. And somebody's like, well, sometimes it happens. Yeah, sometimes it happens. And that's where the self-compassion component comes in. If I start feeling myself walking around carrying somebody else's stuff, it's like, all right, that's my responsibility. Let's cut that out. This isn't my life, right? Mm-hmm. There's a humility element of, I don't know, it's kind of arrogant to think you're responsible for somebody else's life, because while that may be carrying some of the burden for them, it's also removing any credit they get from the equation. I don't even say I'm helping people. I say I'm providing tools.
You gotta love a multitasker. Psychological work, yes. Radio work, sure. Writer, producer, actor, check, check, check. And we got into it with Leanna, talking about the shows that she was binge watching at the time. She shared a story about seeing New Kids on the Block back in the day. We're both video game nerds, so we talked a lot about that world. The NBA and the NHL came up, so did Love at First Sight. How she met Mark Hamill and Stan Lee. Jealous much? We talked about The Sandman, which was an amazing series, superpowers, the Green Lantern's ring, and just being a comic book nerd in general.
Yeah, people get mad at me because I have Marvel and DC stuff mixed up in the background, but I don't judge.
Yeah, Marvel's superior, but you don't just dismiss DC.
Okay, Marvel extended content. It used to be DC was better on TV, Marvel was better on movies, but the Disney Plus stuff has sort of changed that up. We'll see when James Gunn gets his chance to work his magic on DC. But I mean,
he's now co-COO or CEO, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
He's in a position to actually make change.
Yeah, they just unveiled his plans, but it starts in like 2025, right? But I started with Spider-Man.
Why does it take so long? Like what?
Well, they got to develop it. Right, it's starting from scratch. It's a big risk, right? That making people wait that long, because people are going to forget. And if The Flash isn't a good movie, Aquaman, he's going to wear that, rightly or wrongly. That's the unfortunate thing about media, is everybody can consume it, and there's no like degree in television reviewing, so opinions are like, assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
And you gotta sort of get used to that. As you know, I'm sure doing this show, you get some really unenlightened opinions.
From a radio show host to the host of the super funny, super witty CBC's Humor Resources, you heard comedian John Doerr on the podcast about a month back now. And of course, you'll know John for so many reasons. A correspondent on Canadian Idol. He had his own Comedy Now special for CTV and the Comedy Network. His show, the John Doerr television show, is on the Comedy Network. Seeing him on Comedy Central, Live at Gotham, hosting Funny as Hell on HBO Canada. And as a comedian, someone who's expected to have a spin, on things in the world, what's happening around them, just surveillance, I guess, in general, and keeping up with what, people are talking about. What's your slant on this? John talked about that, creativity and surveillance, and whether that's something you can just turn on and off.
I turn it off much more now than I ever have. Like when I was just me selfishly wanting to pursue a comedy career.
Sure.
Yeah, I was probably annoying, still am, but not as much so, annoying to everyone I ran into, because I was nothing but trying to find the funny. I still try to do that, but not as frequently. I'm always on the lookout. Absolutely. Like if I can think of something or something comes up in conversation, I'll text it to myself or write it in my phone or do a quick voice memo. So I'm always looking for something, but not as much as I used to. It's crazy when the day-to-day takes over.
Throw kids into the mix, and you got to take them somewhere to a hockey game practice, or you know what I mean. Like once you start getting life into the equation, boy, it sure changes.
Yeah, and it's and you have to remember to write it down. Like if you think you're going to remember it, you never will, and then you live with the regret of what was that idea I had. So even more so now, it's important to write this stuff down for many reasons. But there was a time in my life where I think I met with a friend who was a stand-up comedian, and we'd meet at a cafe and we'd write almost every single day, throwing ideas back and forth. And every night I'd go up and perform. This is when I was living in Toronto in an apartment, nothing but comedy on my mind. And that was a very important period of development for me, for sure. But that doesn't exist anymore.
Interesting to hear the thought process, hey? The main reason that John was a guest was because his album, A Person Who Is Gingerbread, was up for a Juno Award for the Best Comedy Album, and he won. We talked about where he would put that Juno in the full interview, and it's not in his house, by the way. We also talked about the shows that he was binge watching at the time. Letterman, Cosby, Carrie, they all came up. So did shows Mr. Show, Kids in the Hall. We got into a little bit into cancel culture. Is that even a thing? Seeing the Tragically Hip in concert. watching SCTV and Bob and Doug as a kid, and listen to what John states as his career highlight. I wonder if this will change now that he's won a Juno.
Yeah, well, I can't pick one, but I just feel, I mean, you know what? Strangely, there's a lot. I can't really narrow it down, but like strangely, I feel like doing the Canadian Idol television show was a highlight because I was living in Ottawa at the time. I was working on daytime. I was doing Rogers Community Cable daytime show. I was hosting that show for 3 years, making zero money, working in restaurants to subsidize my income. And I remember auditioning, traveling to Toronto 3 or 4 times to audition to get this role, editing a demo tape together, everything they teach you in TV broadcasting school, and really wanting it so badly. And then the second I got a phone call saying, can you be in Winnipeg for week 1 of Canadian Idol? They've selected you to be the correspondent for the show. I remember instantly it let me move to Toronto. It let me get out of, financial dire straits and a tax problem. And it started a relationship with the production company, which in turn I did the genre television show for. So, and I also had a blast doing that television show. So strangely, that would be the one. I remember being filled with so much excitement and gratitude when I got that call. So yeah, that would be it.
And sticking with comedians, the host of CBC Radio 1's weekly show Laugh Out Loud, Ali Hassan, was a guest last month as well, and a great hang with him. So he jumped on to push his Does This Taste Funny cross-Canada tour that he was on. That rolled through New Westminster a few weeks back. And a cool premise, too. He was a chef for about a decade, and his show looks at the industry, his connection to fine cuisine, his struggle with overeating. Sounds familiar. Something that I can certainly relate to. And if it's that fourth meal at 11 o'clock at night that maybe gets me. Anyway, as we do, we covered a lot of ground with Ali and talking about the differences of generations, comic books, hockey cards, and growing up with Eddie Murphy's comedy, Carson, SNL, SCTV, and what is it about Canadian comedians? Why are there so many famous and funny Canucks? Like, think about it. John Candy, Martin Short, Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, Rick Moranis, Phil Hartman, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, Tommy Chong, Dan Aykroyd, Will Arnett. The list goes on and on.
I don't know why we have so much of it, but I know that we have an incredible work ethic. I think, particularly like outside of Quebec, there's no star system. And so to really get recognized, to showcase your talent, you got to be constantly at work. And when that work ethic travels to the US, and you got to, of course, again, work very hard to get into the US, you've got to have a fair amount of money, over $10,000 to $15,000 just for the lawyer's fees, never mind the actual moving and setting yourself up and the months that you won't be getting work. You have to be ready for that. So it's a costly affair. So you have to be well prepared for it. And yeah, you got to work pretty hard to get to that place too, So I think our work ethic really distinguishes us from a lot of other performers. In general, I think that's what we have. Why are we so talented here? I mean, I think it's, not unlike the conditions of many persecuted communities. We're just persecuted by the weather, I guess. We're persecuted by the, various geography and climate and other sort of goofiness that surrounds us. We're victims of that, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's pretty phenomenal.
I hadn't really put too much thought into that, until I had back-to-back interviews with Canadian comedians. Like, why are so many Canadians funny and famous? You've seen Ali Hassan in all sorts of things beyond comedy, sort of, and Run the Burbs on CBC, Blood and Treasure, Designated Survivor, Odd Squad, Hudson and Rex, Workin' Moms, Murdoch Mysteries, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. He was part of the Just for Laughs comedy cross-Canada comedy tour, which was hosted by Rick Mercer, which, as you would expect, he cites as one of his career highlights.
It's hard to think of too much that I enjoyed more than the tour with Rick Mercer. I just enjoyed his company, his storytelling, like live. And, I've been a fan of Rick's for many years, and just to have him beside me going like, oh, that's where Peter McKay did this. And that's where this person did that. That's where, and he just has this, it's just like this, it's the most entertaining tour of Canada you'll ever get. And Rick likes to chat. He's not a comedian who kind of shrinks, and he's a Newfoundlander. He's a storyteller. Plus he's incredibly intelligent. And he and I would like to, we would enjoy day drinking, and we enjoyed good food. And I gained about 12 pounds in 30 days.
Nice.
There was no way around it. And there was times where my wife would be like, she would call, and I'd be like, can I call you back? And she's like, I haven't spoken to you in 3 days. I'm like, I know, but Rick's in the middle of a story about something that happened in Kingston at the penitentiary. But I gotta, and she'd be like, what the? And I had to tell my wife, I'm like, I didn't realize it at the time, but this is like an honor and a privilege to be in Rick's company, going across, I think we did like 23 cities, and the eating and the bars and the restaurants and the laughs outside of the shows. I mean, just unbeatable time. And the group we were with was really great. But I was front seat to one of the great Canadian, comedic storytellers, and I had a front row every night. Not to say that Rick and I didn't chat and have a dialogue, but sometimes when he'd start talking about something, I'd just be like, I'm gonna just soak this all in and listen to some wonderful stories. So that was great, because it was so long. It was sustained. It was over a month's time, and that was unbeatable. I think that's a career highlight.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. Like, because Rick Mercer has got to be one of the funniest Canadians like ever, man.
He's effortlessly funny, incredibly knowledgeable. His mind is a steel trap. He remembers every conversation he had with everybody. He remembers all kinds of things, and And this is wonderful.
Entertainment guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. Visit sacredmeds.com and mention you heard about them through the podcast to open up a hidden category on their website.
This will to do the right thing has brought you pain. Has brought you pain, and I can say from the bottom of my heart, I will hang in this true remembrance. You've got a noose around my neck, and it's real. It's death. You've got a gun right to my head, and it feels real. You've got a noose around my neck. You've got a gun right to my head. You've got a noose around my neck. Please excuse me, there's a hole in my head. Not forbidden, but he did it again. Seems like something I would not forgive. I know it's something I will not forget. Please excuse me, there's a hole in my head. Not forbidden, but you did it again. Seems like something I will not forgive. I know it's something I will not forget.
I feel fortunate, I feel privileged to have already heard the full album from Dead Quiet. So it's a new song for them, a new song for the podcast called The Hanging Man, and they have 4. Their 4th album is coming out pretty quick, I believe this summer. I don't know that there's a release date just yet, but I'd be willing to bet that you will see that one. At the end of the month, they are playing a show the same night as our Blue Light Sessions in East Vancouver. So it's on Friday, April 28th at Green Auto, which is quite literally just across the way. So you could probably hit both. Like, I'm going to make my way over to Dead Quiet show once our Blue Light Sessions is over. Should be able to do them both. So it's Dead Quiet, Killer Deal, and Elsinore. All right, this will be a great show. Looking forward to next week's podcast. Hollywood Life senior editor Cassie Gill is a guest.
So by the time I got to high school, I feel like I was a very good kid, but the only thing that I ever did that was like air quotes bad is I skipped school to go to a couple tapings in LA, and one of them was the American Idol finale. So I was actually there when Ruben Studdard won. The way that I pulled this off was crazy though. Like I was on like the oneiota.com and I had tickets, but I had to change the date because I only had like the 1 week off for spring break or whatever, or the 2 weeks off. So I think I told my mom I was going on a school trip, but I had to secretly like booked a flight to LA, took off, and like no one knew. Like it's insane to me that I pulled that off, and I pulled that off twice, and somehow just like gift of the gab at like 16 years old, like got into the after party. Another one randomly that I was at was like the Days of Our Lives 40th anniversary, which still like cracks me up. Again, I was like 16. So I was very much like figuring that out already when I was in high school. And then by the time I got to university, I'm, of the Lauren Conrad, the Hills era. So it was all about the internships. And I was like the intern queen. I think I did 6 different ones. So when I was 13, it was just very much like, okay, I want to go to these events. I would love to meet these people. How is it that I get there? And I was already thinking about it back then.
Joining Hollywood Life senior editor Cassie Gill is Saint Asonia singer Adam Gontier and a player for your Vancouver Seas baseball team. We don't have that nailed down just yet. So we're like literally in the next 7 days, we got to find out who it is. Of course, do the interview, cut everything up, get it all ready. So, but regardless, we're fans of Canadians baseball. So we're going to have a Vancouver Seas baseball player next week. And that's going to do it for this one, episode 301, another best of in the wraps. And my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening and being there. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us. You can subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, comment and rate the podcast. Search it out through Toddcast Podcast on Facebook and Instagram and everything else as well. All right. So hopefully we'll see you there. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. Maybe we'll talk, have a beer, have a coffee, and see what we can do together. And if you help us find a sponsor, we will give you a commission. Make some dough listening to this podcast. It seems like it's the right thing to do. Rogan, you doing that? Rogan? Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Hi, listeners. We want to tell you about a podcast we love. It's called Rebel Girls, formerly known as Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. It's about real-life women who are changing the world with their courage, creativity, and big, bold ideas. Want to know how Taylor Swift became a superstar? Or hear how Simone Biles became the greatest athlete of all time? From immersive stories to heartfelt interviews to super smart advice, Rebel Girls brings you stories that will get you fired up to become your best self. There are over 400 episodes for you to explore, with new episodes every week. So check it out. Listen to Rebel Girls wherever you get your podcasts. And find us on youtube.com/rebelgirls. And whatever you do, stay rebel.
You've watched them from the outside your whole life. On TV, on stage, on the cover. The success that always looks like it happened to someone on a different planet. But what if it didn't? I'm Evelyn, and I've spent over 25 years in entertainment, producing for some of the biggest names in Hollywood. And here's what I learned. The distance between you and them, it's a lot shorter than anyone's letting on. On my podcast, Reppin', I sit down with the people you've been watching, and I ask them who they actually are. Not the brand, the person. Where they started, what it cost them, what almost broke them, their grit, their courage, their resilience, and the lessons they've learned. It's all yours for the taking. Reppin', wherever you listen.
Now, before you go hunting for something else to listen to, let me make it easy. I'm Mike Carruthers, host of a podcast called Something You Should Know, and I speak with experts about fascinating things that affect your life. From human behavior, relationships, health, science, and everyday mysteries. We've been downloaded millions of times because every episode teaches you something you'll be talking about later. Open up Something You Should Know and give it one episode. You might just find your new favorite podcast.